In a room scented by the smell of sawn timber, a man hears a voice in his inner ear calling him. It is time, your time and mine. Enough of the mending and making and shaping of wood. Time to put aside the tools. The sharp nails can wait. While the village still slept, he set his face to the low morning light and followed this beautiful voice, calling him, leading him, drawing him into wilderness. He did not look back to the comforts of home, but walked on into the desert, the place of suffering and desolation, where each rock hid its own danger, every stone could strike at the heel. He walked onwards, alone. As he walked, he left something of himself behind. The skin of civilization was being burnt away by the hot sun, driven away by the wild animals. But in the rhythm of every step was the music of this voice, singing to his soul, "It's your time and mine." After a time, the desert seemed so big and he so small. A panic rose in him. It clutched him like a hand at his throat. Who am I? What am I? What terrible road lies before me? Father, my body is weak. I am a drop of water on a rock under the hot desert sun. Soon I will be gone. Still he walked. Still he followed that voice. Dust devils plucked specks from the sand and spat them at his face. Walk on, my son. This is your time and mine. He followed the voice into dark canyons carved by raging streams now long dry, and he was grateful to leave behind the dark places, to climb towards light. And from a high place he watched in wonder as the sun sank into desert sea. He watched as it stained the sand like wine spreading on a table, like blood. As evening fell, he looked for a place to rest. The dry desert skies sucked back the warmth from the ground as he lay down his head, and the night creatures were set loose, hungry and wild. A weak morning light filtered into the ravine where he slept, and he woke. That restlessness was there still, gnawing at him, calling him on. Now is your time and mine. Now is your time and mine. Find me, O my Father. Make me, take me back to you. My throat is cracked, but thirst is more for you. My stomach craves a food that feeds only this, my soul. So I walk, desperate, close to falling, stumbling to you. At his lowest point, a blessing fell at his feet. A sound brought him to some rocks, and he peered over into the shade and saw foxes at play. The cubs left their lair and tripped over each other, nibbling ears and licking fur, oblivious to his presence, at one with all things. The pure joy of the moment found its way into the very center of him. It lit up his soul. Desert became paradise. Father came to Son. The joy in his heart could not stay still. It found its way to his feet and made a dance. What a dance! His sandals beat the sun and his clothes cracked the air about him. He danced down valleys and over stream beds. He danced the day long. A dance for the hungry and thirsty. A dance for the broken and hurting. A dance for the widows and the fatherless children. A dance for the lonely and the betrayed. A dance for the poor in spirit and those captive to the night. A dance for those downcast and robbed of hope. A dance for the dying and those left in grief. A dance for those who suffer and need relief. A dance of grace and love and mercy. A freedom dance for all humankind. And as he danced, he drove away those black birds of death and hate and war and profiteering and slavery. Evil took to flight. This day belonged to the dancer and the dance. Exhausted now, burned up, the responsibilities of this journey, the burdens to carry on the way, the foolishness of the dance, and his dreams lay like bleached bones at his feet. The terrible black birds drew near again, drawn to the sweet smell of carrion, blown in on the breeze. That night he stood alone before the moon, listening again for the voice, straining for its music. His face shone with a reflected light, sun to moon, moon to face, and he started to hope again. Now is your time, my son. In you are my hopes, my dreams. In you is everything I am. In you is all my love, all my mercy, all my grace. Yes, now is your time, and mine. Huge drops pound at the dust. The rain makes the air as sweet as a rich, ripe grape. The dust turns to dirt, and the dirt becomes soil, and the water finds its way into cracks in the parched ground, seeking out dry stream beds, searching out seeds long left behind, opening again those forgotten kernels of truth and life, letting them become again what they once were. Rain falling on his head, running down his beard, anointing, baptizing, bathing, and soothing. And from the depths of his learning, singing in his heart, come the words of the poet-prophet Isaiah. The poor and needy search for water but find none. Their tongues are parched and dry, but I am there to be found. I do not forget. I will burst forth rivers from barren hills, send fountains from valleys. I'll turn sun-scorched desert into a still lake and water the wastelands with cool streams. Fix your eyes on my servant, in whom I am well pleased. And in the dark earth a flower found itself again and pushed out into the daylight. He looked upon this new wonder, held in the spell of such delicate beauty. He dreamed of a new beginning, a new springtime. Is it now, Father? Is now our time? It seemed for a while that he was no longer alien in this place. The earth had remembered him. He walked on into days, still drawn by the voice, now right here, then distant, one moment closer than his own heartbeat, then just a distant whisper on the desert wind. Now is your time, my son, and through you I will make all things new. Time lost meaning. Hours passed and faded into days. He walked half in this world and half in another. A sharp stone poked him into reality, and he picked it up. A stone to make men stumble, and a rock to make them fall. Even here there were distractions, temptations, like a deadly fruit that promised a relief from cravings, but brought instead sickness and death. Here too was cruelty. The desert reached out and tore at him. Thorns scarred his body, ripping into his flesh, all too soon to become his crown. Each day bore down, horizons liquid in the heat, but he does not stop. Walking, 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 listening. He was a man, and human beings need rest. So evil saw its chance. It stalked him, ready to strike. But from the man arose a prayer. You are my shepherd. You bring me to lie in the lush green pasture and find me the coolest pools to drink from. You guide me along paths of righteousness and restore my troubled soul. Even when my way goes through the valley of the dead, I fear no evil, for you walk with me. You serve me the finest food right before the enemy. You lift my broken head and pour on me your blessing, and your shepherd's crook keeps me safe. Your beauty and love chase after me all my life, and soon I'll come home forever. So broken and exhausted, he looked for a place to rest. Hide me, O my Father, be my safe place, be my shelter. Cover me from the heat of this day. A cave welcomed him and held him in its hollows, shrouding him from the weary walk. It became for him the whole world for a while. So empty, drained, poured out to the point of death. Entombed within this body, death draws close and finds welcome. The night came in unnoticed, but in his dream the man still heard the voice. "Now, my son, now is your time and mine." Suddenly he was not alone. Across the desert strides a stranger. There is something friendly and familiar about him. He is cool and clean, and his voice is like butter. But beneath this fine exterior there is something more. Older than humankind. In his eyes there are the depths of darkness and destruction. Epidemics rage there. In the corner of his gaze, savage creatures rip and claw at one another. He flicks a glance and arrows fly, cannons fire and flame. And in the pool of his vision, men and women objectify each other and lust for power and money and sex. Rivers flow toxic in his tears. Now he has a new mission. The two men walk out into the sun. So begins the first attack. "Son of God, what a fool you are to suffer such hunger. You hold the power to snuff out the sun, but you go hungry? Perhaps you are not so strong after all. If you were, you could turn these very stones to bread, and we could share sandwiches for breakfast." We need so much more than bread. I am the bread of life, and I come to feed souls. With flashing eyes, the stranger turns, and in a blink, they stand high on the temple walls, looking far down on the courtyard. And then, the second attack. "I don't think you are him at all. Look at you, standing there all weak at the knees. If you were precious to your father, you could throw yourself from this place and the angels would catch you in midair and float you softly to the stone floors below. Go on, do it. Show me." I must not test my father. With a howl of disgust, the stranger turned back again and took the man to the high places overlooking a huge city. So began the third attack. "Look, you fool, all this could be yours. You cower in the desert, but the whole world is at my feet. I can give you anything you could ever want. Money, power, servants, fame, influence, significance. Are these things not necessary to complete this mission of yours? Why not do things in style? Why grovel in the dirt when you can live like a king? All I would ask is this: do it my way. Listen to me." Enough. I serve only one master. The spirit of my sovereign Lord is on me. He has sent me to the poor and the weak with good news. He has told me that it is time to heal the brokenhearted. He shouts freedom to all captives and breaks the chains of those you have bound. Now is the time of my Father's grace and the destruction of your plans. And the stranger was gone. Exhausted, battle done, the man fell back into the dust. The desert once again pulled at his bones, sucking the moisture from his flesh. But this was not the end. It was the beginning. So the journey continued back into the world of humans, to all the homes and houses and broken down old shacks, to the priests and to the soldiers, to the slaves and the fat cats, to the athletes and the cripples, to the beggar and his king, to the broken and the dying, and those who have no song to sing. Into the place of children's squabbles and where folk gossip in the town square. Hear the singing from the synagogue calling the town to prayer. To all this living and this loving, this fecundity of life, now it is your time, my friends, and mine.